Some people say this is mythology. How is it possible for a 7-year-old boy to lift a huge mountain and hold it up with his little finger when massive rainstorms and high cyclonic winds are blowing and he's just keeping it? The strongest winds in the world were blowing, massive storms of not just monsoons, but devastating rains. And yet the hill didn't budge from the tip of Krishna's finger. And he was smiling. He was happy. He was having leelas with all of Vrijabasis through his glances, his smiles, his laughter for 7 days. Someone may say, impossible, it's just a story. It's an analogy, it's a philosophy. Well, what is our understanding of God if he can't do that? It's a small thing for Krishna. If he can create all the universes, he could create all living entities within the universe and all the variegatedness. God can't come down to this earth and lift a mountain? Of course he can. So when we read this story, we become so proud. This is Krishna. And when we're proud of Krishna, it brings real satisfaction that cannot be disturbed by any situation, because Krishna is infallible. Yes? If Krishna were to drop the hill and crush all the Vrijabasis, that would crush our pride. But he never does that because he's infallible. He's God. He may get bound up he may cry incessant tears because Mother Yashoda is showing him a stick. Yes? And he's falling at her feet and begging forgiveness. Please, put that stick away. I'm too much afraid of your stick. You might hit me with your stick. And she wouldn't hit him. She was just showing it to him. But he'll never drop the mountain. This is Krishna. So when we put our pride in Krishna, when we take happiness in what Krishna does, then our happiness is unlimited and forever. When we take pride in what we do, then it's just a matter of time till our so-called happiness is very much frustrated. So here we find a very graphic example. Lord Shiva is proud that just see what Krishna did to me. And Parvati was proud, just see what Krishna did to my all-powerful husband. And all the rishis were proud, just see what Krishna did to our worshipable Lord, Vishnu. It's perfect. So in this way, Krishna is intimately reciprocating by showing favor to his devotees. And the progression is very interesting herein, because Krishna showed favor to the devas by helping them in every stage of the churning of milk. And then Krishna showed favor to the devas by giving the nectar to them. But because Lord Shiva has the deepest and highest love, he showed the most favor to Shiva of everyone. Not by just giving him some of that nectar. Shiva didn't need the nectar. He didn't even come. He didn't even show up to receive it, right? He didn't need it. He's above all that stuff. Worldly nectar. But Shiva got the nectar of being totally infatuated directly by God himself. And in this case, by God herself. So for all of you, we have to understand this, that God is female. It's a fact. God is female and God is male. Radha, Krishna, Sita, Ram, Lakshmi, Narayan. Two aspects of the one truth, the male and female. And here, the male becomes the female. And who is who? Same truth, same person. Sukadeva Goswami, he was Atmarama. He's the one speaking the verse we're reading from today, offering obeisances to Lord, the Supreme Lord who appeared in this fantastic female form. Now, Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul. He was in the womb of his mother. Father was Vyasadeva, and he stayed in the womb for 12 years. Why? Because he understood the world, there's all kinds of Maya, and there's all kinds of people fighting over insignificant, trivial, egoistic things. That's what the world is about. As long as there's history, there's wars, there's greed. It's always prominent in this world. He didn't want any part of it. And all the allurements and all the all the things people get distracted by. In the womb of a mother, it's totally dark, can't see anything, right? What is there to get attracted to in the womb of a mother? Every little baby wants to get out. But Sukadeva Goswami wanted to stay in. He had decided, I'm going to stay in as long as the duration of this life. Now, the mother was not very happy about that, nor was the father. And finally, it took Krishna, who's all attractive, to attract him to come out. He was Brahman realized. He had achieved mukti. He was tasting the sweetness of Brahman. Mukti. He was self-satisfied. Doesn't matter, I'm in the womb, I'm happy. It's just like that. But then, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, and Krishna personally coming to invite him to come out, he was attracted. He was willing to come out of his very safe haven. Atmaramaschtu munayo. That beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam. That Krishna is so attractive that even those who are thoroughly liberated beyond the modes of material nature, they become attracted to Krishna. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami, he came out. And then he left home. He wasn't concerned about the protection and the comforts and everything else. Of course, he was already over 12 years old. It's not like he was an infant. And he just walked away. Can you imagine a baby like that? Just comes out of the womb and just walks away. And the mother saying, come back, come back. And father saying, please return, return. He just walked away. Didn't even look back. And then there's the story of the ladies who were bathing, and he passed by them, And they just continued bathing. Then Vyasadeva came and they all put on their clothes and screamed. And he said, why are you screaming for me and not my son? He said, because he doesn't see the difference between male, female. He doesn't have any desires for you have to, you may be a liberated soul, but you see a difference because you're a grihasta. But he doesn't see any difference. That was Sukadeva Goswami, so liberated. He was only 16 years old when he came to the bank of the Ganges. And who was there? They were trying to decide who's going to speak the Bhagavad Purana to Parikshit. There was Vyasadeva, his father. There was Narada Muni, his Param Guru, the Guru of Prahlad and Dhruva and so many others. And there was Vashishta Muni and Vishwamitra Muni and Gautam Rishi, Bhardraj Muni. These people are really these sages. And they're all gathered. And they've all proven themselves in Ramayana and other Puranas and other Mahabharats. They've proven themselves to be totally pure, self-realized, learned people with the greatest disciples anyone's ever had in the universal creation. They're all there. And here, 16-year-old Sukadeva Goswami appears, and they all unanimously say he is most qualified to speak the Bhagavatam. And here, Sukadeva Goswami is praising Lord Shiva for his attraction to Mohini Murti. Because it's completely transcendental. It's attraction directly to Krishna, not to the external energy. And Sukadeva Goswami is praising unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead who always fulfills the desires of his devotees. I offer my respectful obeisances. He is honoring, worshipping, and glorifying Mohini Murti, who always fulfills and satisfies his devotees. Through all the obstacles and all the tests and all the purifications, he fulfilled the desires of the demigods. Through this mysterious Leela, he fulfilled the desire of Lord Shiva. It wasn't in the way Shiva expected it to be fulfilled, but it was, he fulfilled his desire. And Srila Prabhupada explains like this. Krishna reciprocates with our love. Krishna gives every living being the opportunity to know him, to love him, to serve him, and to find the ultimate happiness. Everyone, without discrimination. But according to the choices we make by our free will, which is something we eternally have, free will, because we're part of God. According to those choices, Krishna reciprocates. So Krishna is totally impartial, and his apparent partiality is the highest testament of his impartialness. Vritrasura, he was an asura. But because he turned to God with devotion, the Lord was more partial to giving him than he was to Indra, who's a devotee. So at any time, anyone, if we really turn to Krishna sincerely with an honest heart, Krishna gives himself to us. And that's how he's impartial. Because he's willing to give himself to anyone, whoever we are. But according to how we either decide to receive him or to reject him, he responds accordingly. Krishna's Bhakta Vatsal. He responds to love. You can't blame a mother or a father for their special affection for their child, especially when the child is totally dependent on the mother and father. It's reciprocation. Love means reciprocation. So this is the great hope. Doesn't matter what your caste or your sex or your nationality or your education or what planet you live on. Gajendra was an elephant. He wasn't even a human. But because he took shelter of the Lord gave him everything. He gave him himself. And Ramchandra's best devotees, they were monkeys. Hanuman. The Lord wants to show. It's not a matter of material designations, it's a matter of the sincerity of our heart. He gives himself. He gives the highest liberation to those who turn to him. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatna kritam vikam. And the obstacles that come our way, if we just turn to Krishna with integrity in the face of obstacles, that's the real test of our genuineness. And Krishna will give us entrance into his eternal loving service. And the Bhagavatam concludes that all these teachings of the Bhagavatam, if we can just assimilate them, then we can achieve the highest perfection simply by approaching Krishna, by chanting his holy name. Is there any questions? Yes, Madhavananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, in the beginning you told about the spirit of cooperation based on selflessness to the service of the Lord. And so it is very easy to understand when there is selfish cooperation and then it breaks because of the motivation not being fulfilled. But there are very sincere and selfless people, both quoting the same things like Prabhupada, everyone telling each other that Prabhupada said, we love him if we show cooperation. Everyone is quoting the same thing. They are all sincere, selfless. And still the issue comes that why should I bend every time? Cooperate means basically I will take the lower position generally. Now what principle we apply at that level where everyone appears to be following the instruction? Means Prabhupada is not there now to question, or sometimes the Guru may not be there who has given the instruction. So amongst themselves, how do they resolve?
Something happening at Bhaktivedanta Hospital?
Not yet.
What?
Not yet.
It's always good to be prepared. For those who, Madhavananda Prabhu is the director of Bhaktivedanta Hospital. Somebody may want to cooperate, other person does not want to cooperate. Someone may be selfless, someone else may be selfish. If all parties are actually selfless, there's not going to be a problem in cooperation. And that selfishness, or that envy, or that pride, is what creates disruption within this world. If they're actually selfless, even if they have different ideas and different feelings, their devotion will compensate. Yes? It's like in Vrindavan, there are different opinions. People don't always agree on the same thing, but they're all united in whatever pleases Krishna the most. Yes? The left-wing gopis and right-wing gopis. The only reason they're having any type of dispute is because Krishna likes it. There's no envy, there's no pride, there's no selfishness. They actually love each other totally. They absolutely love the people that they're disputing with, and the dispute just makes everything exciting for them and for Krishna and everyone else. Because there's no ego. There's no selfishness. And in this world, if there's real selflessness, then even if there's different ideas, there will be respect, there will be honor, and there will be ultimately what Krishna wants. It will be revealed. The truth is very much revealed. Prabhupada spoke the truth. But the realization comes according to our selfless spirit of service. We can verbally cite the truth. We can mentally contemplate the truth. But realization of the truth comes according to the selfless nature of our service attitude. So real selflessness is based on a realization. It's not just something we can pretend to do. So what you're saying, if all parties are actually selfless, then even different opinions, because there will always be different opinions. Even among Paramhamsas, there's different opinions. There's never a different opinion of what our purpose is, but there's different opinions of how to execute for the purpose. But it's congenial because there's love and respect for God and love and respect for each other. Now, in a situation where one party is selfless and really wants to serve and another party really isn't because of selfish interests, then cooperation takes some very sincere intelligence. How to best please Krishna through this cooperation. Yes? If it means that we always have to give in and we always have to bend down, if it actually serves the higher purpose, why not? But if it's just fulfilling somebody else's egoistic thing and it's distracting others from that higher purpose, then we have to balance it intelligently. Radhanath Das Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, they would offer their full prostrated dandavat obeisances every day, at least 1,000 times to the Vaishnavas, to the devotees. Yes? And they're Goswamis. They're Maharajas. They're the highest kings of spiritual revelation. Yes? And part of their daily sadhana is to 1,000 dandavats a day to devotees. And we're thinking, oh, why should I bend down before another devotee? Well, the Goswamis are willingly, they're not only bending down, they're laying down. Bending is only half the process of a dandavat. Right? First you bend, that's the first third, then you bow, that's the second, and then you prostrate. So it's much more than bending, it's prostrating. And they're ecstatically doing it thousands of times a day. Every day, like lines in stone. But our ego says, why should I bend to somebody else? If it serves the higher purpose, then it's fine to bend. But if it's actually not serving the higher purpose, then we have to intelligently, cooperate from our sides as far as possible. But we don't want to cooperate with, if it doesn't make that much difference, then why not? The unity of us, however much I humble ourselves, will be stronger than the separateness. But if it's actually a deviation, then we have to be intelligent and take guidance from people who see the bigger picture and the higher perspective. That's the safe thing to do, rather than independently saying, he thinks this but he's wrong and I think this and I'm right. If we really feel that, and both are devotees, then the safe thing is to go to a senior devotee who sees things from a higher perspective, from a more full dimension, and take guidance. Does that answer your question?
Maharaj, talking about Lord Shiva, he was very straightforward and very simple. Well, we come into devotional life, and after some years of time, we have come to some status in our Krishna consciousness, and people accept us and get some status on our life that this person is like this way. And we wanted to maintain that status for our whole lifetime. We don't want to get deviated. Nobody should have that impression, wrong impression on me now. That type of impression, we always wanted to stick to it. And we don't want to get deviated in any way. And that becomes a type of a hypocrisy in our Krishna consciousness. We don't want to expose ourselves what we really are. We see the example of Shiva. He was very straightforward. Whatever happened, happened. He made it very clear. This is what I am. That type of thing is extremely difficult in our Krishna consciousness, to be open and tell in front of everybody, this is what I am and I am this way. Please help me out. And that happens more and more. We spend more and more in devotional life. That becomes more and more stick to it. That I have to show all the devotees this way only, because they have accepted me this way. And whatever my weakness I have in my heart, I don't want to expose it out. Otherwise my impression will become bad. How to see that goes away, because that is becoming a blockade in our Krishna consciousness, because Krishna doesn't want to reveal us thoroughly because we are showing that hypocrisy in our heart. So how to see, Maharaj, that has been cleared out?
Hare Krishna. By taking to the process of bhakti sincerely, then gradually that purity of heart and purity of motive is cleansed. It is deep-seated, the false ego. It's the subtlest, deepest, and most powerful of all conditionings. And by practicing honesty and practicing the chanting of God's name taking shelter, through our prayers, through our service, and through the cooperative, sincere, honest endeavors of our efforts in Krishna consciousness and how we treat each other. All of these things attract Krishna's mercy. And ultimately, it's only by the mercy of Krishna, when he sees that we're really sincere and we're really trying to overcome our ulterior motives, that Krishna gives us that purity. He reveals to us the purity of ourself. But we have to want it. We have to yearn for it. We have to cry for it, as you are now. And if we really do it, then Krishna will give us that realization. Lord Shiva is Mahajan. We cannot imitate, but we can follow in his footsteps. How great is he? Everyone in this material world wants wealth and pleasures. And Durga is giving it. She's the ultimate bestower of wealth, of jewels, of money, of comforts, of nice clothes, of good food. She gives it to everyone within this world. And here is her Lord, Shiva. And he has no house. If he wears any clothes at all, it's just tree bark. And he doesn't even have a roof over his head. It's just, for the whole time of creation, he lives under a tree. So what everyone wants from his wife, he doesn't want any of it. He only wants to meditate on Krishna. So doesn't that show us something? He has access to everything, and he's happy just meditating on Krishna with nothing. In doing so, he's teaching us, this is what you should do. Don't be attached to all these things. It's all temporary. It's all here and there and gone. Our real wealth is Krishna. Just meditate on the Lord. Serve the Lord. It's the highest wealth. We want from his wife